like, bro, yeah, she got a kid. Look at his back. Oh my god. Yo, what's up, y'all? Welcome back to another reaction. Today we're reacting to Ask German Experts Why Germans Follow Hitler. Very peculiar question. It's a very hard question. I don't think it's necessarily a very hard question. I mean, you gotta look at the situation that these people were in. Like, it's a very.
It was part of their culture. I'm like,
well, it's part of the culture.
You don't like when you live somewhere, you don't go against your culture. It just doesn't make any sense. Like, why would we?
That much conformity as well, too.
Yeah, like why would we go against it?
And anti-Semitism was very prevalent in Europe since the Romans. So it's like it's not like something like it was new. Like these ideas of like, you know, like Jewish people undermining their society is new or anything like that. It's just the Nazis took it to a whole different level.
That's the time where like propaganda really flourished.
Like a lot of the like racial stuff they were rambling off, but I'm pretty sure they were smart to like wait till after they actually had the power to like try to implement any of that. Well, I'm pretty sure most German folks would have been like, I don't know about this way.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know about this.
Yes, and like Jewish people, just I don't think.
But I think that came a lot later on in the process because I felt like I didn't feel like what. It was showing that they had plans. It showed that they had plans to actually try to transport them to Madagascar. They were just trying to like exile them from Germany, but they were surrounded on all sides by enemies. It was like instead of even slowing down the war, they just sped up the Holocaust. It goes to show just how evil and just how inept this inept this idea was. Like they were willing to just sacrifice their war goal in order to try to annihilate these people. Like,
that's crazy. That's crazy to think.
Yeah, so we want to see what these German experts have to say about why they think Germans follow Hitler. Let's get into this.
Führer was God. He had an unbelievable influence on masses. Unbelievable. To me, and not only to me. He was a genius.
If by some miracle he had suddenly changed his ways in 1939 and not gone any further, he would have gone down in history as a great man.
My question is always why all the Germans followed him.
Why did the Germans follow him? Adolf Hitler's early life was a recipe for failure rather than fame. He was an ugly, hostile child. Some say
that's
he was
messed
by
up.
his harsh father, a minor official in an obscure Austrian town.
So he grew up deprived of comfort. He was also deprived of love.
Charles von Lüttichau is former senior historian for the U.S. Army Center for Military History. The son of a German diplomat, he served in the German Army in World War II.
He was a lousy student. He had terrible study habits, and he had a sequence of failures in the middle school, which was the only stepladder for him to get out of his old milieu, so to speak. And this habit followed him throughout. Example was, we're told by people who lived with him and shared a room, that he would not get up until noon and was basically lazy. Now, some of the important decisions in World War II could not be made because Hitler was sleeping.
Oh.
At 11 o'clock in the morning on the day of the Allied invasion in Normandy, the Commander-in-Chief West, Rundstedt, demanded that the Armed Forces High Command release the armored divisions that were standing on the Channel coast north of the Seine River. And they couldn't get an answer because Hitler could not be disturbed. He was still asleep.
Young Hitler's life is
kind
marked by
of going way too much.
He drops out of school and goes to Vienna to become an artist. He scratches out a living by selling paintings like these to tourists. Few of them have human figures. Twice he applies for enrollment to Vienna's Academy of Fine Arts. Twice they turn him down.
Of course, one other great ambition of Hitler's was to
I
become
wonder
an
what they thought
architect.
after that.
And the course of world history would have changed if he had been allowed to the academy to become either a painter or an architect, or both, but not a politician.
It is 1918. World War I is coming to an end.
On a
Still
big,
another
a
career
big
ambition
grenade,
will
you
be
play
denied
Metal
Adolf
Slug.
Hitler. He has
Isn't that a
served
big
as an
grenade?
enlisted
The
man
thing on
during
top,
the
look
war.
like a plunger.
He has been wounded. He has won the Iron Cross. He likes the army and wants to stay in, but the army says no.
He never achieved any rank worth speaking of, but apparently he still liked it.
Dr. Earl Zimke is an author and professor of history at the University of Georgia. He served as consultant to Time Life Books on its World War II series.
So you could say really that it's possible that the forced reduction of the German army gave the world Hitler.
The seed of the future Adolf Hitler emerges from its shell in Munich. It is 1919. With no other career open to him, he decides to become a politician.
Hitler came across a small party that didn't really even apparently have any members. It only had a board originally. It was called the German Workers' Party. Later on, it became the National Socialist German Workers' Party, the Nazi Party. Hitler found some things in that party that he particularly liked. Namely, one, it was extremely nationalistic, and two, it was anti-Semitic. He became the speaker for the party. And all of a sudden, he found out he could draw crowds. His speeches were all essentially about the same thing. He was always the persecuted. Germany was always the victim.
Power beckons. It is 1923. Hitler and his Nazi followers try to seize the government. The coup fails. He is convicted of treason and sentenced to 5 years in prison.
I think it's still like 4 months.
He serves 9 months. While there, he writes Mein Kampf, My Struggle, an autobiography in which he presents a master
I
plan of
kept that long
astonishing
mustache.
goals.
Like Charlie
The
Chaplin.
Jews will be eliminated.
Got a little camera.
Germany will kill off and enslave the Slavs
Charlie
to
Chaplin
provide
was before
Maple's
Hitler,
Road,
right?
living space for
It was
Germans in the
It
East.
was around the same time.
At the time, few read the book.
That's a popular
This was a
mustache.
rather remarkable thing. The fellow there sitting convicted of treason, serving a 5-year sentence, eligible to be thrown out of the country, as saying what he was going to do when he came
I think
to
he wrote
power.
all that stuff in a book and then he had
Released
to
from
figure it
prison,
all out.
Hitler decides the best way to reach
At
his
least at
goals
first,
is to
it's
destroy the
temporary.
system from within it. He barnstorms the country by airplane, a novel thing to do at the time, and tells people that only
Said
the
like
Nazi
Nazi
party
gang,
can
then
right the
like
wrongs they have
the
suffered.
DMX band
He has
X
become an
gonna give
effective
it to you,
speaker,
boy.
an intuitive politician. He courts and attracts money from rich men who think he may become a useful tool. In election after election, the Nazis lose, but steadily gain political power. By 1932, they win a third of the total vote and become the largest party in Germany. The aged president, Paul von Hindenburg, appoints chancellor after chancellor, trying to form a majority that can govern the bankrupt and divided country. All fail. In 1933, it is Hitler's turn. Hitler now asks the legislature to pass an enabling act that would give him dictatorial powers for 4 years. Tired and intimidated, they pass it.
Dang.
When he asked for the Enabling Act, he really didn't have
Oh.
a 2/3 majority. But he didn't need really to have one because he had the rest of his majority
Oh, they got
standing
that.
along the wall in brown shirts. And the parties knew how they had to vote if they wanted to stay in
Where they
good
at?
health.
Chambers.
That's the
From
same.
the summer of 1933 on, there was only one party in Germany, namely the Nazi Party.
Probably the Reichstag.
After World War I, the tragedy was when Germany was defeated, the overwhelming majority of the Germans never accepted being defeated. They believed in military victories and they couldn't understand why in the final end they lost World War I. Then this propaganda came, stab in the back. We were betrayed, and who was responsible for this? Then they found the scapegoats, most of all the German Jews or others.
Dr. Hans Adolf Jakobsen of the University of Bonn is a noted historian of World War II who served in the German army.
The second very important aspect in this period supporting Hitler was that the overwhelming majority of the Germans were not Democrats. They didn't understand what does it mean, a democratic political system. They believed in an authoritarian system, obedience, honor, greatness of Germany, and so
That's true.
the parliamentarian system they don't like very much. And they always were looking for what they call a substitute emperor.
I mean, it's true. The Weimar Republic was kind of like the first democratic institution you can kind of say in Germany. It didn't really exist for more than like almost 5 years before Hitler got power. Before that, it was the emperors, there were kingdoms, and there were duchies for most of Germany's history. And before that, they were tribes. So it's not like they ever had a democracy. That like the idea of like free thinking was always, it kind of seemed like, since like the Prussians, it always seemed like more of an obedient.
So it's just like a thought.
It's more like, it's just kind of like a culture. It's more like that obedient, like they needed that strong leader.
Especially because it was right after World War One, so
World War One, reparations. You get the whole world is going through a depression. You get a pay.
Yeah, and Germany took like the brunt of that.
Europe, I don't know, a lot of countries took the brunt of that. It was just like.
But they were just the most angry.
Yeah, definitely. As you can tell, 80 million deaths later. Yeah, certainly.
Yeah.
If you're enjoying the reaction, make sure to like, subscribe, and share. Let us know what you think down in the comments. Give us some of your thoughts. It's the road to 10K subscribers. We really appreciate all the support. We'll see you next time. Peace.
Peace.